Good morning again.
Hello, Sammy.
Hi. So two things to kick us off nice and quickly. One, we are going to be on time today, aren't we?
Oh,
We are going to be
yes.
so good at our 7.5 minutes
Yeah.
of useful, insightful sharing. Um, and point two, I think we're bouncing off the back of our first Satori Circle
We are.
gathering this morning. And so that's going to make for the subject of this 7.5 minutes.
Yes.
So why don't I invite you in straight away and press start. So
Good.
Juliet, what's Satori Circle, and why did we think it would be a useful thing to put together?
I'm feeling the pressure.
Yeah.
Satori Circle is an invitation for people leaders to come together in a small peer learning circle. And we were really just feeling, with some of our clients, how lonely it can be being a people leader in an organization and how important some of that peer support could be for people, how valuable. But also having, worked in those types of roles, how hungry you can be for a different perspective outside of your usual day to day from that business. And so we really wanted to invite that possibility of wider perspectives, but also deeper conversations to avoid the small talk in networking events or, business breakfasts that you get, and actually deepen the quality of the conversation. We're all time poor, so it's how can we have a really useful, valuable dialogue in the time we have.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny, isn't it? Because even in some of our new business conversations, which we often approach as a very coaching style way of having a conversation, people will say, "Oh God, it was so useful just to talk that through." And it may never go anywhere in terms of, a business relationship, but it's so lovely to create that space for people to just speak openly and honestly.
Exactly.
And instead of getting then barraged by loads of advice, actually then us prodding and nudging on them deepening their thoughts.
Yeah. So shall I sort of describe briefly what it is then
Yeah, do that. That'd be
in the
great.
next layer? So the next, it's called peer coaching, and the emphasis is on, well, both the peer and the coaching, but coaching rather than you know giving advice. So we follow quite a specific process. Some people might be familiar with the phrase action learning sets, which have been used in leadership development for decades. And basically, someone brings an issue, they give a quick, no more than 5 minutes overview of the issue. Then their peers ask some questions about the issue. And the intention, just like with coaching, is to deepen that person's awareness and confidence in addressing the issue themselves. So we suggest following Grow, for example, as a classic coaching template to help the issue bringer unearth what is it they're really trying to achieve, where are they now, what options do they face, and to leave the conversation with a clear next step, a clear action. Hence, it's called action learning sets. So we call one of those processes around, and we hope to cover 2 or 3 rounds on each call. And the challenge with it is avoiding jumping in with advice. So I think the process is really useful because it really encourages people to stay with curiosity. And then you get the person bringing the issue really benefits from feeling deeply heard and understood and going a
Yeah.
bit deeper themselves on their reflections. Because we're all so busy. Space is so precious, space to think, to just be, to have a bit more rigor in our reflections, that hopefully we think is useful.
Yeah. I remember the first time I did a process like this years ago, and I thought that I was allowed in the question asking bit to say, have you thought about, which of course is just giving advice under the sort of shroud of a question. So it is good practice actually, and a couple of people said this morning how hard it was for them not to dive in with advice, because of course sitting as a people function lead, often other areas of the business are just coming to you for you to tell them an answer.
Yeah.
So we can sit with that expertise quite comfortably, and sometimes not always practice that sense of, well, they might already have an answer to this. Maybe
Yes.
I'll help them find it.
Yes. Yes, and I think that particular point I've really noticed, with an experience with a client in the legal sector not long ago. One of their key takeaways was actually what I'm experiencing here in this action learning set is how I could be with my team. So when they come
Mm,
to me with a problem, it's more powerful for me to ask them questions than jump in with an advice because they were experiencing it directly themselves.
yeah,
Um, so it's incredible actually what possibilities it can open up just being in one of these action learning sets and experiencing it for
yeah.
ourselves. But not least, just knowing that other people out there are experiencing the same challenges and issues as you, which we heard a lot on our call today, didn't we?
Yeah, and I remember I've been in one recently where someone came in and what they presented initially was um, complicated but fairly formulaic. You know, here's a challenge that my business is facing, and of course, then when they went through the round of questions, um, questions were very broad and you could answer them in many ways, but they kept answering them in a way that was coming back to quite a personal tension. And so it was really great because it really helped them to identify actually the question that I thought I was coming with isn't really the question I'm holding or the challenge I'm holding. This
Yeah.
is quite a personal barrier that I'm facing around this issue. And so it really helped them to notice where their focus was going in being asked those questions, which again is the benefit of questions, isn't it? And just deepening that in that way.
Well, that's right. Just hearing yourself talk about your
Yeah.
issue, you can notice new things, which is why one of my favorite coaching questions is what do you notice as you describe this situation or this issue?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. So it
How
was
are we
it was
doing?
energizing this morning, wasn't it? How are we doing? We have 1 minute 18, 1 minute 16,
Oh,
or whatever number that
gosh.
was. It was backwards. I know. Um, so Satori Circle, we've kicked off this morning. This is a monthly 90 minutes with a very small, intimate group of people leaders from all over the country coming together to get to know each other and share wisdom and create a space that they can do exactly what we've just described, peer coaching. And for four strangers coming together this morning, I think they got beautifully deep and really left holding some interesting reflections about even when they were giving advice, actually about things they'd gone through that they weren't perhaps drawing on anymore. That it was useful to touch base with again.
Yeah. Yeah, and people at different stages of their careers can be so useful
Mm,
sometimes when we're so absorbed in our current situation to hear others who are just slightly further forward on the path.
yeah,
So I was really appreciating that in today's call. Great. I'm
yeah.
so conscious of time on this one that we
I
don't go
know
over
I am. I'm
a
paranoid about it
minute.
now. So we could do like a weird countdown, but that might
Yeah,
feel
go on
very
then.
strange.
Let's do that.
No, I'm not going to do that. But I think what we're saying is huge advocates for that curiosity. Oh, and coming together with people to talk about what really matters rather than just to try and solve.
Yeah, brilliant. Love it. Can't
Lovely.
wait to do it again.
Yeah. Take care.
Thanks, Sammy.